Everyone, this is Swayam Gupta today, and we are going to cover the basics of MERN stack. So let's jump right in. Okay. So first of all, a brief about MERN stack, like what it means actually. So MERN in M stack, basically M is for MongoDB, E for Express.js, R for React.js, and N for Node.js. Okay. So yeah, let's deep dive into the advantages of MERN stack. Yeah. Okay. So there are a lot of advantages of MERN stack because it's actually a popular stack right now in development community. So I have listed some few advantages over here. So yeah, as we can say, the first example is full JavaScript stack. What does it mean? It basically means that every component of this stack is built using JavaScript, and because of this consistency, the communication between every component is seamless and easy. Also, you need to learn only one language to build a full stack website, a full stack web application. Yeah. So the second is efficient and agile development, agile nature of MERN stack. Yeah. So the MERN stack promotes paid rapid development through its efficient and modern architecture. With React, developers can build reusable components and leverage a vast ecosystem of libraries and package, because the package system here is a lot. Yeah, if you can go, yeah, if you wanna grab any package, it's available in npm and yarn and anywhere. Yeah, enabling faster development cycles. Additionally, Node.js and Express.js provides a lightweight and scalable server-side rendering and environment. Yeah, allowing for a quick development and deployment of the server-side logic. And moving further, the next is single page application. What it means basically, it's representing the React.js part of MERN stack. As we can see that React is a key component of MERN stack, and basically it excels in creating an SPA, that is single page applications. Yeah, so it offers a smooth and interactive user experience by dynamically updating specific parts of a page instead of loading entire pages. This approach eliminates page refreshes, because you don't it is basically a direct rendering service. So yeah, you don't need to basically render, and you basically refresh the page. Yeah, this approach, yeah, resulting in faster and more responsive applications. Also, React has virtual DOM. It efficiently handles rendering updates, further enhancing performance. So next, moving further, with the scalability and flexibility of MongoDB. Yeah, basically in this we are talking about MongoDB, as MongoDB is a lot scalable, and the flexibility of MongoDB is a quick and accessible service, because we can create a different type of schema, as it is a NoSQL database, so we don't need to worry about the tables and those things. So the MERN stack actually, the basics of MERN stack, and the MERN stack is used by a lot of tech giants in current industries. So we can see here that Facebook, Instagram, Uber, LinkedIn, Airbnb, and a lot of the big websites are using the MERN stack as their main code. Okay, so starting from like understanding each and every term here in MERN stack, so we'll start from MongoDB. Okay, yeah. So in MongoDB, the flexibility of data is a lot. We can basically arrange the data model in a lot easier form, and whatever the form we want to use. Suppose for example, we can create like a different table and create a schema which can contain a lot of different type of objects. Like basically it can store object, it can store arrays, it can store a lot of things at the same time. And also it is a NoSQL database, so we don't need to worry about the tables. And the scalability and performance we have talked about earlier, and the query and indexing of this database is I'm actually attaching some queries which we can use. So it's kind of a CRUD application. Yeah, so what we do is basically create an application collection, and then we basically insert some data, basically create the data, see part of that CRUD. Yeah, and then by this syntax, that is find, what we can do is we can search the data, or we can say in the terms of CRUD, it is we can read the data. Yeah, so we can update the data similarly, and we can also remove the data. So moving further, the next in our race is Express.js. So when we look at Express.js, the definition of Express.js is kind of simple. Express.js is a lightweight web application framework for Node.js. It allows you to define routes, use middleware functions, and handle static file serving. What it means basically is it's kind of a simple application based on Node.js. Based on Node.js is basically kind of mean that we need Node.js to run Express.js in our server. It allows to define routes. What route basically means is the different routes means the different addresses, the different parts of our web application, and it also known for its simplicity and flexibility in building web application and APIs. We are going to build some APIs also, and that's kind of a very small example of API. We'll be jumping to the coding part later. So next coming is the React.js, the pretty known React.js. So first, if we go to the definition of React.js, is React.js is a JavaScript library for building user interfaces. What user interfaces mean? Basically the front end of our web application, from where we are going to fetch the data, from where we are going to communicate to our backend, from where we are going to communicate to the database. It allows you to create reusable UI component and efficiently update and render them using a virtual DOM. What a virtual DOM basically means is that the React.js allows us to basically interact with the virtual DOM. Basically, we can interact with the data, we can interact with the backend, we can create an API, we can merge the API, yeah, and also we can update and render it. So moving further, the React.js, yeah. So moving further, React.js, moving further, we have a lot of applications and a lot of advantages for React.js. As what you can see is component-based architecture. What it means that React.js, what we do is basically create a lot of components for a single landing page or single page. We break the whole page into a lot of different small and efficient component-based system. So moving further, I've already told you about the virtual DOM here. The unidirectional data flow, what it means is that we don't need to imply any other language here. We don't need any other supporting language like HTML, CSS. We don't need to embed that here. Yeah, and React hooks, they are actually a important part of React. The most of the functionality in React comes from their hooks. We'll be learning about them later. So Node.js. Okay, so we were on Node.js, and Node.js basically gives a JavaScript runtime environment. What it means that we can, because of only Node.js, we can run JavaScript on our or out of our browser, because in previous time we only were accessible to JavaScript through our browsers. Yeah, so it also gives you server side development. It basically means that we are going to script a code which will be handling our server sides. Which basically means our backend. Yeah, the scalability and performance is always higher because it's JS command. And yeah, so the package ecosystem we are talking about, as I told you earlier about that, npm stores a lot of packages for Node.js, React.js, and all the JS libraries. So it's actually pretty good. So moving ahead, we are going to code a simple MERN stack app, which will basically fetch the data from MongoDB through the APIs created in Node.js and Express.js, and we'll show it to the front end based on React.js. Yeah, so let's create a small web app here so that we can learn about it more. Okay. Okay. So as you can see, I have created a tutorial folder in which first of all I'm going to create the backend. So I have created the index file, which will basically contain our main servers. So for any confusion, what I'm doing is basically downloading the package. Okay. So yeah, from here you can see that I have now basically I'm into the backend folder. Yeah, I can see that only index.js file is containing here right now. So I'm going to use Express.js right now. So the basic command for installing any package here in Node.js frameworks, like you can use the npm in React.js, in Node.js, in Vue.js, and any other kind of JavaScript networks. Yeah, so we're going to install the Express here. Similarly, we need to install Mongoose also, and we need to install Chords also. Chords is a different kind of thing, which we basically for the time being, let's remember that we need to install the chords. Okay. Yeah, so until it's installing, we can further create the dependencies, like create the variables of them. Mongo. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we have reached here. All the packages are downloaded. So what I have done is basically created an app of Express. This is an important line to define the Express. Yeah. Okay. So moving further, now we are going to connect the MongoDB to our backend, basically to our Express. So for that we are using Mongoose. Okay. So we can create basically Mongoose dot set. These are just some prerequisites we need to follow. Yeah, they are kind of strictly queries and those things. Strict query. Yeah, Mongoose, and yeah, it should be true. Cool. So what you can do is, yeah, just a minute. Yeah, we can connect it to a local DB. Remember, the local DB here is always saved in port as that is dot 0.0.1 slash. Let's suppose we are using it as testing. Using the name as testing. Okay. So okay. So then these are basic JavaScript commands what we are using right now. So what we will do, if the what we will give the command that if the server is running, if the MongoDB is connected, we can console connected, whatever it is, connected to DB. Yeah, and then we can just a normal error catching thing. If it catches any error, it will basically give me those error. Yeah, cool. So we have created this thing. Okay, so what we're going to use, basically, yeah, we need to define chords also. Yeah, what we have done is we have basically created a user schema for our Mongoose DB. So the schema is basic structure. The name is given as string, the age is given as numbers. Yeah, and now we have created the model of the schema. The model of the schema is basically this what rules the schema is going to follow, that lies under the model. Okay. Yeah. So before continuing, what I have created is basic schema, as I told you, and now I'm creating the collection out of it. And let's forget this code for now. Yeah. So what I've done is basically started running our server on localhost on a 4000 port. Okay. So let's test our backend node index Node.js. So yeah, we can run the node command again, and now the what we can see is basically app listening connected to DB collection is created. All these things are we are seeing. So what we can do is we can go to local 4 and route reached. Yeah, that's what we are seeing from cool from here. So yeah, from here we have seen that the route is basically reached, and now coming, yeah, basically this is for listening the code. Yeah, sorry for that. Yeah, okay, listening the port. Okay, cool. So you okay, from here what we can see is I've created a sample user, kind of a sample data, because the schema is basically containing a name and age. So I've created a sample name, project MERN, and sample age as in age 12. So now what I'm doing is I'm basically inserting the sample user with this data on my the schema. Okay, so this testing database is basically in my local server. As you can see that the address is 127.0.0.1. Okay, so we can check it from here only. Yeah, let's refresh it. There are a lot of okay, so these are the testing things. So what I can do is I can basically drop this collection. Okay, so now looking at this, yeah, and I have downloaded NodeMon. NodeMon basically does not terminate the server. It basically refreshes the server every time we are creating a new changes. So yeah, you will be helpful. Like it will be helpful for you to download the NodeMon. So from now onwards, we are going to use NodeMon only. Yeah. So I have created the NodeMon. So basically, what we are doing whenever the backend is running, the backend should contain, yeah, here should contain the sample user. So what I can do is I can refresh it here, and I am seeing a testing collection inside a user schema, and yeah, I'm seeing this project MERN in H12. Cool. So basically our backend is connected to the database and it's communicating very well. So I think this part is done. So what I can do is basically create a new folder, or let's just say I can create a new React app. So the command is simple for create React app. What we can do is basically Google it. Yeah. So here we can see that npx create React app, my app. Cool. Why are we using npx and not npm? Npx basically runs only one time in the local machine. So until this is running, what we can do is we can complete our further code. So basically everything is done. We are fetching that, we are creating, we're basically sending this message to our local route and listening to the API. So what next I'm going to do, I'm going to create an API to listen, and which we can fetch, which will be basically a get API, and which we are going to fetch from the front end part. So let's name the API as get API/get data. You can name anything what you want. And now I'm going to use a simple async function, which will contain a request and response. So what it means that it's sending a request and it's receiving a response. Okay, so for request what we can do is basically create a data. Yeah, from which will find the data from the user schema, user table of us, and what we can do is basically send the data back to wherever the API is called. Yeah, so now this API is created. It's a very simple API. What we are doing is we are getting the data from this MongoDB database, and now we are sending the data back to the front end. So the front end part is not completed yet. So yeah, the React app is installed. So what we can do is we can go to our React app, cd my app, and it's saying us to run this npm start command. So yeah, we are doing it. It's running, and yeah. So what we can see is on local 1300. Yeah, we are seeing this as edit rc. Yeah, there is something data here. So okay, now the backend is completed. So what I want to do, I want to basically fetch the API, the API should create it. So for that we are going to use Express. Okay, Express is another package from npm for React, which we use when we need to fetch the API and get and post put the get and post request. So it's again we are going to install it, npm install Express. It will install it. So yeah, until it's installing, what we can do is we can create a function. Yeah, and also okay, here comes the tricky part. Now we are going to create a state. Just don't basically what this use state does is a hook. Okay, React hook is basically use state is basically create an array of data and function. So how we are going to proceed it, yeah, you will just see. So let's create an what do we name it, data underscore found. Okay, yeah, data underscore found, and set data underscore found. Okay, so there we have defined it as an array, because whatever inside this parenthesis means that what is the object type. So for object type we have created an array, or we can store the object also here. Okay, so let's create a function, a simple JavaScript function, nothing else. Yeah, what it will do, it will basically get the API. Yeah, get the API, and then what it will do with the response part, the response part will get first of all, let's console that response part here. Okay, whatever it is, that is res.data. This is the response part, and we can, as the function says, this is the function to set the data. So what we can do is res.data. Yeah, this function will basically set this variable to this data. Okay, cool. So yeah, moving further, okay, so yeah, we haven't completed the API. Okay, yeah. Now what I have done is I have mapped the data. Yeah, the data is basically data set, and yeah, the data, and I have mapped the data as a simple Java function, as a variable item, and the name and age are going to show here. Okay, so the API here is localhost, because the 4000 is our route, and remember we used API get data for as an API name. Yeah, so okay, as of now what we can see is, okay, so this is the React app, and I have created a button to click show, and yeah, it's showing a lot of data here. Okay, so that's why the whole MongoDB data has shown to this basic React app. What we can do is we can render it again. It's showing 13 entries. So yeah, these are those 13 entries. Yeah, okay, so this was it.